Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर शिवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा महामंत्र की जय, श्रीला प्रभुपाद की जय। हरे कृष्णा राम श्याम प्रभु, धन्यवाद प्रणाम ऑल गौरी श्रीला प्रभुपाद।
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी, धन्यवाद प्रणाम ऑल गौरी श्रीला प्रभुपाद, गुरु महाराज की जय।
How are you doing, Prabhu? How are your kids, family?
Yeah, we are doing good, Prabhuji. Everybody is good, doing good. Happy Makar Sankranti, Pongal, Lodi.
All parts of India, they have different festivals today.
Right.
So we'll start, Prabhu.
Yeah. So kids are ready now. They will start. Yes. I'll be on mute.
Yes. Hare Krishna, Kanchan Mataji and Mukunda Prabhu, Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Thank you for joining. Let's start Kirtan. I'm hearing after a long time.
Yes, Prabhu.
Krishnaya Bhutale Srimate Vedanta Aminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Vani Pracharine Nirvishesha Adi Pasyatya Deshatarine. Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Advaita Saraswati Govinda. Krishna Chaitanya Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Hare Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Jaya Gauranita, Jaya Gauranita, Jaya Gauranita, Jaya Gauranita. Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Gurudev, Gurudev. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Srila Prabhupada. Jai. Jai. Kanchan Matai and Mukunda Prabhu. Wonderful Kirtan as always. Ki Jai.
All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. So Ajit Krishna Prabhu just ping me that he's going to be late, couple of minutes. So he should be in any time now. So meanwhile, Prabhu, what text we come? I think we completed chapter 3, isn't it?
Yeah, we were at the last verse, Prabhuji.
So we still have to go through the last verse, right?
Yes, I think, yes.
Okay. Yeah, so after that, Ajit Krishna Prabhu, he would like to start chapter 4. We'll do a recap of the whole chapter 3.
Yeah.
Short glimpse of the chapter 3. And then we'll get into chapter 4. Okay. Hare Krishna, Surat Prabhu. Dandavat Pranamal Gaurish Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam Sal Gaurish.
How are you doing?
Good Prabhuji.
Nice. So Ajit Krishna Prabhu may join in any time. So meanwhile, if anyone has anything to share or recap the last session or the third chapter in itself, we can go ahead. Kirtida, you want to do?
Sure, Prabhuji.
You were not present last week, correct?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, please go ahead.
So in chapter 3, Krishna is, saying, like, in continuation with Arjuna's confusion from chapter 2, where Arjuna was giving a lot of reasons why he shouldn't be fighting. Krishna has been telling him why he should fight. Just do it as the duty and offer the results to the Lord. Continuing in chapter 3, he's saying that nobody can remain without acting in the 3 modes. And everyone is born with certain nature, and accordingly, we all should engage ourselves. He says that whatever actions we are doing, it will bind us to this material world if we don't do it as a sacrifice to the Lord. Like if we eat anything without offering, then it becomes a sin. And also he says that there are people who are beyond these 3 modes of nature, who don't have to really do, but still they continue doing the actions, so that the common people who tries to follow them also gets a good example. And Krishna is explaining about karma yoga, which is like doing anything in full knowledge of Krishna without desiring any results and without claiming any proprietorship. This also was explained. And the last few shlokas, Arjuna is asking like how one is impelled to perform the sin. And for that, Krishna is answering that it's all because of lust. And he also says, like, when an enemy has to be conquered, then you should know where he resides. Accordingly, you should know where the lust is. So the places where it resides are the senses, mind, and intelligence. And also he gives those 3 analogies of mirror covered by the dust, fire covered by smoke, and embryo covered by womb. And then he says how the mind is superior to senses and intelligence is superior to the mind. when the intelligence is trained properly in spirituality. In the last class, Prabhu was saying about Guru and Shastra, the books which give us the correct knowledge. So with that, the mind can be controlled. The mind can be controlled by that spiritual intelligence. So by doing these things, one can come out of lust and concentrate on the devotional services, because that's like devotional services are the ones where you don't have to do anything for results. You just do it for Krishna. That way your consciousness also is on Krishna only. And he was giving the examples in the last class, how we can remember, like, just remembering that this home belongs to Krishna, and the family members also, is for serving Krishna and not for individual sense pleasures or anything. And also what we eat is Krishna prasadam. By doing all these things, we can always be connected to Krishna and stay in Krishna consciousness. That's the thing, Prabhu.
Thank you, Kirtida. That was very, very comprehensive of the whole glimpse of third chapter and last week's recap. Yeah, that was nice. Thank you. We have Ajit Krishna Prabhu online now. Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dhanavad Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. You are on mute, Prabhu.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Pranam, all glories Prabhupada. Krishna Mataji. Sorry, I was a little late. We just finished actually work very late today, so by the time everything got done. So sorry for the delay.
Yeah, so we just went the whole third chapter, glimpse of whole third chapter, how it started, and Kirtida explained very well. So
very nice.
I would like to add a couple of points which I remember, Prabhu.
Yes.
Now, one of the most important point you said, Prabhu, the senses are not independent. Right now, it is controlled by lust. Lust is the main thing. And example, the best example, or the practicality, when it comes to practicality, you said the tongue is the most dangerous. Sharira vidya jal jadendriya tahaikal jiva phele vishesa. Tara madhya jivati. So it's very difficult tongue to control, because all our activity, our consciousness, our actions, everything, everything depends on what food you take. So basically, that is why devotee always prefers to have offered food, prasadam, because once tongue is controlled, then it is also said in the Shastras, right? Ahara shuddhau, sattva shuddhau, sattva shuddhau dhruva anusprati. So only if tongue is controlled, then our existence is purified, and if our existence is purified, only then we can think dhruva anusprati. So always think about Krishna. So it all depends on what food we take. Otherwise, if tongue is not controlled, basically it is controlled by lust. Once our lust increases, then our sense gratification increases. Once our sense gratification increases, our sinful activities increases. Once sinful activities increases, then again we'll fall in the pool of the cycle of birth and death. Now, to come out of that, then we have to come out of this lust. So to exercise that, we have to have proper prasadam. So that you explained very well. Thank you very much. I'm sorry, Prabhu, I couldn't find that, Nirmat Saranam, we spoke about that, but I didn't get to speak about it. Find out where it is exactly, but I'll try, Prabhu, next week. So
okay, that's fine, Prabhu. Yeah, whenever you get a chance.
Yes. So thank you, Prabhu. That's all. If anybody else wants to add anything, so please go ahead. I think we are at the last verse of third chapter.
That's right. We got 42 and 43 left.
Yes. So before that, if anybody wants to add, please go ahead. If not, we will continue with the new text. Anyone else? Ramshyam Prabhu, Tyagu Prabhu.
No, Ji. Thank you. Hare Krishna Ji.
Thank you, Prabhu. Okay.
Yeah, since it is the last, chapter of this third chapter, last part is going on. So I would like to, like bring some points which we discussed in the very beginning and, in the middle, and we were discussing in the last classes. So like third chapter, that is the Karma Yoga. And the Karma Yoga, which is just started, if we say that Arjuna in the second chapter, when he was asking, clarifying with the Krishna, so he understood that buddhi yoga, like durena here karmani, right? So he thinks like buddhi yoga is the intelligence. So since Arjuna was confused by that, in fact Arjuna was not confused. He is asking these all things for our welfare to understand. So Krishna is clarifying these all doubts in this, third chapter, like how he can use that jnana, that intelligence in the bhakti, and so that's therefrom it is just started, and then we went into the niskam karma yoga, and the difference between that niskam karma yoga and other part of the sakam karma yoga, and those all things we discussed in very beginning. And then we had Sankhya yoga and Buddhi yoga. So in the Sankhya yoga, we talked about that, philosophical speculations we do for that, which is not having very logic and reasoning and by proof. So that is the Sankhya yoga. I mean, so by proving by the logic and reasoning, and not by the direct, proof, like we have the different pramana, like right, Pratyaksh pramana, and the Anuman pramana and other pramanas, like so. Not to going to that direction. Then Sankhya yoga, and then Buddhi yoga. That is the direct Krishna consciousness. That is the Buddhi yoga. Prabhupada always focus on the Buddhi yoga to any subject he takes up, he direct comes to the Buddhi yoga, devotional services. So that's the one where we focus into, and that was the intention for Krishna to tell, like to the Arjuna, but Arjuna understood as the jnana, intelligence, as the Buddhi yoga. So Krishna is clarifying everything in this chapter. So then after that, then those all things like yoga letter we discussed in the middle, middle part. Prabhuji had the, like papers on the late. He made that, like graphs, how we can do that karma kanda, then sakam karma, niskam karma, yoga, ashtanga yoga, bhakti yoga, and these all that we remember. So he made some paper that we are missing somehow. So those are the things, like there is the extended ladder and progressive ladder, those ladders. So by that, if we can remember all by our practice, so that I will not take much time, since I have already taken time, whatever. So these all things were there. I was thinking, like practice myself also in this third chapter, what we had read through. In the last, we are going to do that. So already Prabhu, Muli Prabhu, Mukta Sangha Prabhu, you have already covered this part, which was very important, the lust. I'm not going to repeat that. So thank you very much, Prabhuji. So far we had a wonderful session in the 3rd chapter. Hare Krishna, please continue.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhu. So I think then we can continue with the reading of the next 2 verses then. Should we do that? You're on mute, Prabhu.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. Ramchandra Prabhu, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So we'll continue with 342 and 343 we'll do.
Yes. So let's continue that.
Okay. So anybody volunteer to recite? Narasimha Prabhu?
Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhu. So you want to recite 342?
342. Please.
Yes, Prabhuji. Indriyani paranyahur. Indriyebhya paramana.
Indriyebhya paramana.
Manasastu para buddhir.
Manasastu para buddhir.
Yo buddhe paratastu sa.
Yo buddhe paratastu sa.
Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Yeah.
The working senses are superior to dull matter. Mind is higher than the senses. Intelligence is still higher than the mind. And he, the soul, is even higher than the intelligence. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Narasimha Prabhu. Tyaga Prabhu, you want to do?
Yes, Prabhuji. Text 43. Evam buddhe param buddha.
Evam buddhe param buddha.
Samstabhyat manam atmana.
Samstabhyat atmana.
Jahi satrum mahabaho.
Jahi satrum mahabaho.
Kamarupam durshadam.
Kamarupam durasadam.
Translation, Prabhuji. Thus, knowing oneself to be transcendental to material senses, mind and intelligence, one should control the lower self by higher self and thus by spiritual strength conquer this insatiable enemy known as lust. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hari Bol. Somebody else? Others? Mataji?
I can read the Prabhuji.
Yes, Mataji.
342.
Indriyani parani ahur.
Indriyani
Paranyahur.
Indriyebhya paramana.
Indriyebhya paramana.
Manasastu para buddhir.
Manasastu para buddhir.
Yo buddhe paratastusha.
Yo buddhe paratastu sa.
The working senses are superior to dull matter. Mind is higher than the senses. Intelligence is still higher than the mind. And he, the soul, is even higher than the intelligence. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Krishna Mataji.
I will read Prabhuji this 43.
Yes.
Evam buddhe param buddhva.
Evam buddhe param buddha.
Samstabhyatmana atmana.
Samstabhyatmana.
Jahi satrum mahabaho.
Jahi satrum mahabaho.
Kamarupam durasadam.
Kamarupam durasadam.
Translation by His Divine Grace, Abhay Charna Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thus, knowing oneself to the transcendental, sorry, I will go one second. Thus, knowing oneself to be transcendental to the material senses, mind, and intelligence, O mighty armed Arjuna, one should steady the mind by deliberate spiritual intelligence, Krishna consciousness, and thus, by a spiritual strength, conquer this unstable enemy known as lust. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Okay. So would anybody else like to read? Or recite the verse now? Okay. We'll continue then. We'll start with the invocation prayers and then we can start the discussion. Om Agyan Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakya Chakshur Unmetam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manomishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Ram Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Adhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Vancha Kalpatrubhascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama.
Hare Hare.
So we're going to conclude the third chapter today. Of course, very important chapter on Karma Yoga. But this topic Karma Yoga is so important that actually this is the only topic in Bhagavad Gita that has been discussed over 2 chapters. So chapter 3 and chapter 5, they are both about Karma Yoga. So today we'll wrap up chapter 3, but that's only one part of the topic of Karma Yoga. So in 42, Krishna says, Indrani paranyahur indriye bhyaparam manaha manasastu para buddhir yo buddhe paratastu saha. And then in 43, evam buddhe param buddhava samsthabhyatmanam atmana jai shatru mahabaho kamarupam durasanam. So I'll start with 43 first, and then we jump back to 42. So the translation of 43, Prabhupada says that thus knowing oneself to be transcendental to the material senses, mind and intelligence, all 3 of them, O mighty Arjun, one should steady the mind. One should steady the mind by deliberate spiritual intelligence, okay, or Krishna consciousness, and thus by spiritual strength conquer this insatiable enemy known as lust. So this insatiable enemy, insatiable means the one which can never be satisfied. Never be satisfied. And Krishna is saying that this is the biggest enemy of the living soul. Biggest enemy of the soul. Lust. It's insatiable. It can never be satisfied. So imagine if we think about this, it's a losing battle. This enemy can never be satisfied. In other words, Prabhupada says in many places he has described that as a embodied living being in this material world, you have two choices. Either you serve Maya or you serve Krishna. There's no other choice. He says every living entity is a servant, and we've discussed this in the past too. Each one of us, if you take our condition or if you take anybody else's position or condition, you can see very easily that we are all servants of somebody. You know, we serve our bosses serve their bosses, boss serves. So you are always serving someone. And Prabhupada says, even if you have nobody to serve, if you're retired, people are, if they are alone, they will keep a dog and then they will serve the dog very nicely. Take the dog out for a walk, feed the dog. You see, it is just the nature of the human being to serve. So we can make a choice whether we want to serve Krishna or do we want to serve Maya. And here Krishna is saying the downside with serving Maya is that it works upon us through the three modes of nature and in the form of lust. It all condenses into one thing, which is lust. And it is that lust which controls us. So now, you just think about it just logically. If we have to go to work and serve our boss, we are given a written agreement, you know, that the boss says, I expect you to work so many hours a week, 40 hours a week or whatever it is, so many days a year, and you will get so many days off and you will be paid so much. It's all very clear. So we know what to expect. The boss knows what to expect. And as long as we do our work satisfactorily for 40 hours a week and whatever it is, we get paid, and that's the end of the matter. But Prabhupada says, Krishna says here, that this master lust is such that he is never satisfied, insatiable, never satisfied. You can try as hard as you want to satisfy lust, it will never be satisfied. So what a hopeless position this is. If we think about it, that we are putting in so much energy, so much effort to satisfy these desires which are coming from Mr. Lust, and Mr. Lust is still not satisfied. So why am I wasting my time trying to satisfy this insatiable master? Now you may say, okay, how can we prove that lust is insatiable? It's very simple to prove lust is insatiable. If we think about, okay, how many forms lust manifests itself? So many different forms, but let's take one form, which is money, desire for money. There is nobody who says that, now I am satisfied. I don't want more money. You look at all the successful, rich business people and whatever. I mean, Warren Buffett's been the richest man. He's 89 years old. And not to say that he should not do what he's doing. That's fine, and he's very charitable and all that too. But this nature of the attraction for money is such that even in such an advanced age of 89, 90 years, Warren Buffett and his partner in business, Charlie Munger is like 96. And both he and Warren Buffett, every year they sit and they talk to their shareholders and the whole world listens to them. They are not stopping. The desire for money, the attraction of money is such that it just continues and continues. So my point is that if you have 1 billion, you say, I want 2. If you have 2 billion, you want 3, so on and so forth. So this is the evidence we can see around us. This is the evidence that this lust is such a thing, it is never satisfied. So in order to try and satisfy lust, we can try as much as we want, it will never give us satisfaction. That is why the Shastra always says that any amount of material possessions or pursuits can never give you satisfaction. The satisfaction to the soul, the satisfaction to the living entity comes from spiritual pursuit. It comes through the process of following bhakti. And why that is the case, that's what is being described here. That is what is being described here. The spiritual pursuit, yoga. So this chapter is Karam Yoga. Yoga means to link with the Supreme Lord. Karam Yoga means to link with the Supreme Lord through one's actions, through one's work. So we have 10 senses, 5 knowledge acquiring senses and 5 working senses, right? So if we engage these 10 senses and 11th is the mind, with these 11 senses, if we engage ourselves in bhakti, we will feel, the soul will feel satisfaction. But through our working senses, but through our 11 senses, if we keep pursuing lust and desire for more and more and more money or whatever it may be, you will never be satisfied. You may feel satisfied for 1 hour. After that, some more ideas will start coming in the brain. If we set a target that I want to achieve so much money, this will be very nice, I'll feel successful. When you get that point, when you reach that point, for 1 hour maximum, you'll feel satisfied. After that, again, the brain will start coming up with 51 plans to say how you can expand even beyond that. So satisfaction will never be there. So Krishna is saying in this chapter how we can control or regulate our mind, our intelligence, and our senses in order to break the cycle of influence of the lust upon our mind, intelligence, and senses. So let's just very quickly, verse 43 has got a small purport. If somebody can please read that.
Yeah, I can read that too.
Okay, Prabhu. Or if anybody, or the other.
Yes, no?
Go ahead, Prabhu, you were saying something.
Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. This third chapter of the Bhagavad Gita is conclusively directive to Krishna consciousness by knowing oneself as the eternal servitor of the Supreme Personality of Godhead without considering impersonal voidness the ultimate end. In the material existence of life, one is certainly influenced by propensities for lust and desire for dominating the resources of material nature. Desire for overlording and for sense gratification is the greatest enemy of the conditioned soul. But by the strength of Krishna consciousness, one can control the material senses, the mind, and the intelligence. One may not give up work and prescribe duties all of a sudden, but by gradually developing Krishna consciousness, one can be situated in a transcendental position without being influenced by the material senses and the mind. By steady intelligence directed toward one's pure identity. This is the sum total of this chapter. In the immature stage of material existence, philosophical speculations and artificial attempts to control the senses by the so-called practice of yogic postures can never help a man towards spiritual life. He must be trained in Krishna consciousness by higher intelligence. Thank you, Prabhu.
See, this is a very nice summary of what is success. So let's discuss this in more detail, because this way we can conclude this chapter with some key kind of understandings, so that then when we go to the next chapter, we can build upon this. So this third chapter is conclusively is conclusively directed to Krishna consciousness by knowing oneself as the eternal servitor of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So first point that comes out there, and I was actually thinking earlier today to put down in a little list, but I don't know, it got so late at work that that time didn't come up. But anyway, sorry for that. But anyway, we can verbally discuss this. So, by knowing oneself as the eternal servitor of the Supreme Personality of God, let's discuss this point. What does this mean? Anybody, please, like we'll keep it interactive so that it's beneficial for us.
That is Mame Vansa Jiva Loko Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. So we are eternal part of the fragmental part of the Lord. So we are having natural tendency to go back to home, back to Godhead, to serve Krishna. But because of the desire, lust, which we were talking about, so we turn our face away to Krishna. So that is the flaw. So we have to you know, like we are eternal to the Krishna. Our constitutional position is to remain with Krishna. Yeah.
Right. Very nice. So we are the eternal servitors of Krishna. So just now we discussed that if we don't serve Krishna, then who do we serve?
Maya, lust.
Yeah. Maya tempts us with various things, and that temptation, and what does that temptation make us think? It makes us think that, oh, I will be very happy if I did this or did this or did this or did this. This is the way Maya attracts us. Does it attract us to serve Krishna? No. It actually directs us away from Krishna. That is the whole problem. And how does Maya act upon us to direct us away from Krishna?
As you said, by several material desires.
So, in the context of what we've read so far, you know, like verse 41, 40, 40, 39, so on and so forth. Or even now, if we look at 42, it gives us clues. So how does Maya act upon us?
Through lust. Through lust.
Lust. And the lust, where is that sitting?
That resides in mind, senses, and intelligence.
There you go. So in the mind, it is mind. Lust comes and sits in the mind. And what that means is that keeps giving us all these different ideas. Oh, you know, if I could only get like maybe $8-10 million, I'll be very comfortable. No, that's an idea. Either we heard somebody or we read something, or through the course of our life, these sort of ideas come to us. Many experiences, they form these ideas. So that is how lust comes and sits in our mind. When it sits in our mind, then it starts to control our intelligence. Instead of the intelligence controlling the mind is controlling the intelligence. And when the intelligence is being controlled by the mind, by these ideas, I'm just going to keep using this example of money. So our intelligence is influenced by this idea of more money. So then what will happen? Our intelligence will only work in that direction. How to get more money, how to get more money, how to get more money. To the point, most of us do things ethically, but why do people do unethical things to get money? Because their intelligence is so covered by this desire for more money that they say, it doesn't matter how I get it. I'll rob a bank, I'll do this, I'll do that, I'll do that, I'll do illegal things, but oh, I must have money. So this is how our intelligence is covered by what the mind is saying. When the intelligence is covered and intelligence is working in a certain direction, then the soul obviously is just having to follow. So here Krishna says, or Prabhupada explains, that we are the eternal servitor of the Supreme Lord. If we forget that, then we are in trouble. Okay. Then, in the material existence of life, one is certainly influenced by propensities for lust and desire for dominating the resources of material nature. What is the meaning of dominating or desire for dominating the resources of material nature?
The sense of
Yeah.
proprietorship.
That's
Go ahead, Prabhu.
Yeah, Narasimha Prabhu.
Prabhuji, enjoying the results of one's actions, like whatever money one may be getting, and using it for sense enjoyment.
Using it for maximum enjoyment. And do we include Krishna anywhere in that enjoyment, or usually not?
No, Prabhuji.
You see, enjoyment is not a bad thing. After all, we are from the spiritual world where everything is full of anand, bliss, happiness. That's why we also have a desire to be happy at all times, to enjoy. So nothing wrong with the desire for happiness, but how or what makes us happy, that is kind of the key thing here. So desire for lording it over material nature, and Prabhu, you said that is, what is that again? That is the Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji, sorry. Desire, like enjoying without keeping Krishna in the center, like what you were mentioning.
Right. When we have the desire, so when here it's explained, desire for lording, desire for overlording and for gratification is the greatest enemy of the conditioned soul. Greatest enemy. Here we have the answer as to why we are stuck in this material world. Now, if we were to go out and tell somebody, some non-devotee person who's not interested in these topics, that you can enjoy by serving Krishna, they say, what nonsense are you talking? Enjoyment means let me watch a movie. Let me see. I mean, this is a whole different concept of enjoyment. Whenever we bring any religious topic into it, people think that's not enjoyment, that is boring, that is too serious. You see? Whereas Krishna is saying repeatedly that you can enjoy, you can be happy in spiritual life. You can lead your normal life, so to speak, but if you introduce spirituality into it, you will be happier than you can even imagine. That's why here, there's one sentence, one may not give up work and prescribed duties all of a sudden. He's saying all of a sudden, you don't have to give up everything all of a sudden. No, but by gradually developing Krishna consciousness, one can be situated in a transcendental position. So how can we be in a transcendental position? Without being influenced by the material senses and the mind. Without being influenced by the material senses and the mind. The key word there is material. The senses, the mind, those are ours. Those are part of our body. But if we spiritualize them, then they will not be material. And if they are not material, if they are not influenced by materialism, then our intelligence will be strong, our mind will be pure, and our senses will be controlled. Senses will be controlled.
Excuse me, Prabhu, I have a question here. Can I ask?
Sure, Prabhu.
Okay, so Srila Prabhupada says that one may not give up work and prescribe duties all of a sudden. Okay, so he's talking only about the work and the prescribed duties, but we are mostly grastas. All of us are here grastas. We have now
Right.
wife, husband, kids. So all of them may not be in the same frequency. So
Right.
everybody's enjoyment, everybody's duties pertain to their age is different. Say, for example, kids may not be highly spiritual, or because they don't have realization. So they may want to watch a movie, want to watch some any other things which is not a spiritual activity. So
Sure.
does Srila Prabhupada he meant this also? Like, you cannot give up all of a sudden, because we cannot, even adults, we cannot give up all the entire thing and then completely indulge in spirituality, right? At this point of time, okay, because of
Right.
maybe self-volunteer desires, or because of peer pressure, family pressures, whatever. So, okay, so is that meant that we can still enjoy materially, because we cannot give up all of a sudden, and carry on with our spiritual activities also parallelly, and then at some point of the time we'll get to a stage where we can give up all our material activities, including everything, all sense enjoyment, whatever, and then get into spirituality. So can we still continue? My question is, can we at this point of time, can we continue both?
Very good question, Prabhu. And in my view, the answer is yes. You see, because there is practicality in everything that is explained in the Shastra. So, like Prabhupada said, regarding Krishna consciousness, he said, preaching is the essence, purity is the force, books are the basis, and utility is the principle. That fourth point is very important. Utility is the principle. Meaning, if we cannot utilize it, then what is the point of all this philosophy? So, in order to utilize, in order to have utility, it is important to act according to time, place, and circumstance. So, like you said, children, naturally they want to see their shows, and their interest is different, their source of entertainment is different. And that should always be respected and encouraged. You cannot expect a 5-year-old child to think the way a 40-year-old person thinks, I mean, that's not normal, So, but then when the question comes to us, like, let's say we are grastas and we have certain material responsibility to perform, those should be performed. That's why Prabhupada is saying none of this should be given up all of a sudden. And in fact, material activities can continue because they are just for maintaining our body and soul together. After all, we have to pay bills. We have to live a secure, comfortable, healthy sort of life. Those things are necessary. But the mentality becomes, or one becomes convinced in one's mind that whatever I am getting is by the mercy of Krishna. And I should never forget that I am not the person who is responsible for producing whatever results that I'm getting. It's actually very, very simple. The activity, like if we work, we go to office, etc., all that does not have to be stopped. It is just the mentality where we realize that, okay, if I have 20 million and I'm aspiring now for 40 and I'm saying, let me do this, at some point, there has to be the realization that if I am fortunate enough to be blessed with excess money compared to what I need, then how about thinking about how to use it in the Lord's service, how to use it to help others also become God conscious. That's all. It's a very, very simple change of state of mind. But state of activity can continue to be the same. go to the same office, do the same work. It's just your state of mind is different.
So
Then
I understand bottom line is that it all depends on our consciousness. Basically, if our consciousness is not getting purified and we are not getting attracted towards Krishna, so any activity we do, as long as we are not getting attached to it, then we are okay.
Correct. The key word you said there, Prabhuji, is consciousness. It's not coincidence that Prabhupada named the society International Society for Krishna consciousness. He didn't say for Krishna activity or for Krishna thoughts. He said consciousness. Consciousness means that which pervades our entire existence. And so throughout history, we see that people in different ashrams, whether they are sannyasi, grasta, vanpras, whatever, they have been successful. The Pandavas, great devotees of the Lord, they were all Kshatriyas, king, ruling class, working men. So there is no activity that will disqualify us like that. I mean, if somebody is a grahastha, they're perfectly fine. They can continue in their activities, take care of responsibilities, but the consciousness is different. So that's why in this purport also, Prabhupada says that one may not give up work and prescribed duties all of a sudden. And by prescribed duties, he means, the activities that we're supposed to perform as a devotee, like chanting your rounds, offering prasadam, so on and so forth. Don't give those up, but at the same time, don't give up your work. And then by gradually developing Krishna consciousness, one can be situated in a transcendental position without being influenced by the material senses of the mind. So when we bring in this consciousness, the mind and the intelligence automatically starts thinking in a Krishna conscious manner, meaning, okay, I'm getting this because the mercy of Krishna. I should use this somehow to please Krishna, so on and so forth. So that becomes our consciousness as far as all of our dealings are concerned. Okay. So go ahead, Prabhu.
Well, thank you.
Oh, okay, you're welcome. So he says this is the sum total of this chapter.
Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhu.
Prabhuji, very well you said that prescribed duty, that is chanting and related to that in the Krishna consciousness related. So here, I mean, one may not give up the work and prescribed duty all of a sudden. So does it mean Prabhupada is saying like at some point of time we have to give up the prescribed duty? I mean, we never, right?
No. Never give up prescribed duties. Yeah. So duties that are prescribed forever. It's not just for one period of time or whatever.
We may not give up work or prescribed duty all of a sudden, but by gradually developing Krishna consciousness. So do we never have to give up our prescribed duty, right, Prabhuji?
Correct. That is correct. And so why he's saying that you don't have to give up all of a sudden is that sometimes people think that maybe to make spiritual advancement, I have to become a sannyasi tomorrow. Give up everything and then become a sannyasi tomorrow, and then I will be spiritually situated. Saying no, that's not the thing. This is a gradual process. Your consciousness becomes, because then he goes on to clarify, but by gradually developing Krishna consciousness, we can, etc., without being influenced by the material senses in the mind. So the whole point is how to cleanse our mind of what? Of lust, of the desire to exploit material resources for our own enjoyment. That's the whole point. And that can be accomplished regardless of what work you do, whether you're a sannyasi or you're a grasta or kshatriya or vaishya, shudra, whatever, that can be accomplished because your consciousness, if your consciousness is to serve Krishna, then you'll serve him in all circumstances. That's the whole point.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
So, but in order to reach that situation, we just quickly jump to 42, where Krishna says that we just need to understand the hierarchy of the senses, mind, and intelligence. He says the working senses are superior to dull matter. So that means our hands, legs, arms, etc. These are our working senses. These are superior to dull matter, meaning wood, stone, rock. Mind is higher than the senses, that we've already discussed, and intelligence is still higher than the mind. And he, the soul, is even higher than the intelligence. So in other words, what's being explained here is that soul is the highest. Soul should tell the intelligence that, look, I want to come out of the cycle of birth and death. And so let's act accordingly. And so then the intelligence says, yes, sir, I will follow this directive. So this is the Krishna conscious person. He's telling intelligence must to act in a certain way that assists every act or that dovetails every activity in trying to understand Krishna and trying to please Krishna. And so the intelligence says, okay, I agree. And when the intelligence agrees, then the intelligence controls the mind. So if the mind starts saying, no, let me eat this or let me go there. No, intelligence comes in and says, no, this is wrong. We should not do this. So the mind is then diverted away from unproductive pursuits. And when the mind is controlled in that manner, so the yogis, they think, okay, I'll sit down in a quiet place, I'll shut my eyes and I'll not look at anything, so that I'll be able to control my mind. But Arjun says in Bhagavad Gita to Krishna that Chanchalam hi mana Krishna. The mind is very unsteady. It keeps flickering from one place to the other. Easier to control the wind than to control the mind. So even if you shut your eyes and sit down somewhere, the mind is very hard to control. Mind will suddenly be can go to a different planet all of a sudden while you are sitting in your room with your eyes shut. So mind has to be controlled. And to control the mind, there's no need to stop the senses. You see, yogis think that by shutting their eyes and sitting down one place, they're not doing any action, so mind will be controlled. And Krishna is saying that's not the way it works. Your eyes can be open, you can be looking at things, but your mind will still be controlled if what you're looking at from the perspective of serving Krishna. Then your mind will never do anything or will never think of anything which will be detrimental. So if the mind is this way controlled by the intelligence, then the mind will then ensure that the senses which are under the control of the mind act in the right way. So let's take the example of eating Krishna Prasad. The soul is convinced that I need to eat Krishna Prasad. Therefore, the soul directs the intelligence. Okay, let's think of what dishes to make. Oh, we'll make maybe rice and dal and this and that and not put any wrong thing in it. That way the intelligence is controlled. So then the intelligence tells the mind, okay, what all foodstuffs can we possibly buy from the market? So then that whole planning process starts. That is a collaboration between the intelligence and the mind. And then when the intelligence and mind have decided what all has to be purchased from the market, then the working senses, meaning the hands, the legs, you sit in your car, you use your working senses to drive the car, go to the store and pick up the things that you know you can offer to Krishna. So this is an example of how in day-to-day life, the soul is controlling the intelligence, which is controlling the mind, which is controlling the senses, and which is controlling dead matter. Like you go to a store, you pick up apples because you say apple is offerable. You see, so this is how in collaboration, all these mind, soul, intelligence, senses are working together in a Krishna conscious manner. It's very simple example, but this is Krishna consciousness. It's nothing very complicated. But for somebody who's not motivated like this, They'll not think that if I go to a store, I'll buy something that is offerable to Krishna. They don't even have that understanding. And this kind of activity, this kind of thinking process symbolizes karma yoga. It's as simple as that. Meaning your karma, your action is designed to connect you to Krishna, yoga. Your action is designed to connect you to Krishna, and it becomes karma yoga. We don't have to stop doing our work, or stop being a grasta, or stop taking care of our children, or whatever. It's just the mentality, the consciousness becomes. So, any thoughts, questions, comments, we can discuss.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Dandavas pranam, all Guru Shri Prabhupada. Dandavas pranams, all Guru Shri Prabhupada.
Jai Prabhupada.
I think maybe like this point is, it remembers me, Sarvadharman Parityaja. I mean, he told at the last sloka, right? Sarvadharman Parityaja Mamekam Sharanam.
Yes.
So there he told, give up everything and surrender unto me. But still after that, he told to continue for the war.
Right.
So maybe that makes like even the Krishna is saying, so whatever activity you do, I mean, give it to me like that, like keep it everything to me on my consciousness.
Right.
This is what my realization.
Yes, Prabhuji, absolutely. That is a very accurate and nice realization, where Krishna says Sarva Dharman Parityaja. Dharman, he's saying all kinds of religious processes. Forget about those and just Mamekam Sharanam Vraja, just surrender to me, meaning offer all your activities to me. So you are absolutely right, Prabhuji. He told Arjun to continue his fighting, but fight to please Krishna. Yeah, that's all.
Yeah,
it's perfect. That's perfect understanding. Simple and perfect.
Thank you. Yeah,
you're welcome.
Yeah.
Other thoughts, comments?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, sir.
Just a question along the lines of what Prabhuji were asking earlier. When I'm working, and then I have noticed that like there is a complete discharge of from spiritual thinking or consciousness, like you were mentioning. Like when there is some happiness while chanting or hearing about the Lord or something. But I have seen that when I'm working for long hours, and then there is total forgetfulness and completely to zero. So how to, Prabhuji, prevent that or reduce that from happening, so that we are in touch in some way in remembering the Lord more and not completing forgetting, and just focusing on work and whatever is happening there. And yeah, that's all.
Right. Very nice thought, Prabhu. You see, what happens is when you're working, and let's say you're working long hours, like you said, it is natural to be focused on what you're doing, and it's a good thing to be focused on what you're doing. That doesn't necessarily mean that you have forgotten Krishna for that period of time. Don't be harsh upon yourself by thinking that just because I was concentrating on work, I forgot Krishna. No, you didn't forget him. Because before you started your work, if you said a prayer saying that, may I perform this work nicely to please you, please be pleased with my work and direct me how you want me to act. Then if Krishna gives you the concentration and the focus to do your work nicely, then that is Krishna's service. Otherwise, it will be impossible to conduct your work. Like Krishna tells Arjun on the battlefield, now you go and fight, engage your anger in conquering the enemy. So like in text 43 also, Jahi Shatru Mahabaho. Krishna is telling Arjuna, he is reminding him, Mahabaho, you are a powerful warrior with strong arms, Mahabaho. You are a powerful warrior, so Jahi Shatru, you kill the enemy with your strength. Now to kill the enemy with one's strength in the battlefield, obviously you have to concentrate on what you're doing. You see, distraction will not allow Arjun to aim his arrows properly at the target. So your concentration on your work is not to be taken as forgetfulness of Krishna. If your overall consciousness is to please Krishna, then for the period of time that you're focused on that activity, that's not forgetting Krishna.
Very, very nicely said, Prabhu. So I would like to just add one more thing that.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Prabhu. So there is a relevant sloka also, if we remember in Bhagavad Gita. Okay, because one who is working like 8 hours or 10 hours or whatever it is, he is not bluntly working, but he's thinking. His thinking means he's using his intelligence, right?
Yeah.
So in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Sarvahas chaham riddhi sannivishto matta smritir jnanam. So even the intelligence, forgetfulness, all that is given by me. So if we think that the intelligence what we are using for the work is given by Krishna, that is Krishna consciousness.
Yeah. Very nice, Prabhu. Matta smritir jnanam apohanam cha. So from me comes smriti, remembrance, jnanam, knowledge, and apohanam, forgetfulness.
Forgetfulness, yes.
Because why? Because sarvasya cham riddhi sannivishto. I am situated in everyone's heart, and from me only you're getting the remembrance, forgetfulness, and intelligence.
Yes, Prabhuji, that's really a wonderful point. Thanks, Prabhuji. Like how even if we are thinking of the Lord, it is because He is allowing us to think of Him. Thank you.
Yeah, Prabhuji, I want to add in that as well. I mean, just for my comment, like as Prabhu told, when we fully involved in the work, so we think like we've forgotten Krishna, but it's really not. Until and unless whatever we are doing, our consciousness before and after, which is related to Krishna or not. Like Krishna says in the, again, Bhagavad Gita, when we see at the end chapter, again, I was asking the question related to prescribed duty. So there, the prescribed duties should never be renounced. So whatever we are doing the work, that should not be renounced. If one gives up the prescribed duty because of illusion, such renunciation is said to be in the mode of ignorance. I mean to say, like here, whatever we are doing, suppose we are grihastha, we have job, we are doing that, and so when we are involved fully in that, that means we are doing our prescribed duty properly. I mean, by that, whatever earning we will have, we will fulfill requirement of our family, in the sense of what the requirement. We have our deity at our house, Krishna Prasadam, serving Krishna, like the flowers, garland, these all things. So where from it will come? When we will dedicate our time to the work. And so that being as a grihastha, we have our prescribed duty, we have to follow that. We will not only go to the temple and we'll devote all the time to the temple. Yes, that can be done. As Prabhuji told, suddenly we cannot renounce ourselves and become sannyasi. So that gradually, if that is also required, gradually we can do that by banprastha and then to sannyasa. Those all things are there. So yeah, very, very, very nice question, Prabhuji, and it was very good. So we, what you are feeling like you are forgetting Krishna, that means you are getting attached to Krishna. At least you are feeling like when you are doing the work, you are missing Krishna, that means this is attachment to Krishna. This was
Yes.
very good. So yeah, that's very good, Prabhu.
Thank you, Ram Prabhu. That's very nice. Other thoughts, comments, questions?
It's a very wonderful chapter to discuss. So practical, Karma Yoga
Very
is
practical.
so practical. And Krishna also has put out very simple steps, how to give up or get rid of lust and all that. So it's a wonderful chapter to discuss too. Unfortunately, it is getting over this chapter, but
Well, I mean, chapter 4 discusses more of the knowledge that has been given in chapter 3, and then it again comes together in 5. So it's a continuation.
And sorry, Prabhuji, I missed one point. I wanted to tell that. But
Yes.
since we are in the sadhana bhakti, so we are practicing everything. We are gradually developing ourselves. So what Prabhu had the question for that, like how to remember while doing on the work also. So I have heard in the lecture of our different lectures, like if we have to remind ourselves, so wherever the workplace we have, so we can keep Krishna pictures, so that whenever we deviate from our work, we can see Krishna. Then so that way, or we can put the calendars, we can put the some kind of Krishna Leela here and there, so that whenever we will see here and there, so we can, meanwhile we can see the Krishna pictures, and again it will remind us, we'll put in the track. So that's the way to regulate that, to remember how more and more Krishna.
Yeah, those reminders are a good way to stay focused. To stay conscious of Krishna's presence.
Right.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
All right, Prabhuji, I think
we are good, Prabhu. Yeah.
Stop here.
Thank you again, Prabhu. So we had a wonderful third chapter session completed. So next week onwards, we'll start fourth chapter.
Yeah.
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 Thank you,
Jai.
everyone.
Yeah, very. Pachanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah.
Srila Prabhupada.
Jai.
Jai. Ajita Krishna Prabhu ki Jai.
Jai.
Haribol.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Yeah,
Thank you,
very
Prabhuji.
much. Yeah,
Wonderful session.
yeah.
Thank you also.
It's a really wonderful session, Prabhuji. Yeah.
Hare Krishna.